Drake might have more ops and haters than anyone else in the rap game.
I don't like any of you.
Drake just emerged from what everyone's calling the greatest rap battle in history. After a punishing back and forth between Kendrick Lamar, the popular consensus around the world is that Drake got handed a major L. After dropping his response Family Matters, Drake got outmaneuvered when Kendrick released his reply Meet the Grams just 20 minutes after, and then followed it up with Not Like Us.
Bro, this is crazy.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
When Drake finally got back at Kendrick with The Heart Part 6, everyone took his response to be less of an escalation and more of a surrender. With this loss in hand, a lot of people are tap dancing on Drake's grave. But the question we're gonna get into is, why are people so happy to see Drake fail? What I wanna do is take you through a comprehensive list of Drake's biggest enemies, past and present, and break down the exact reason why they hate him. And I'm talking everybody, from strippers to R&B icons to OGs and some of the biggest artists in the game. Finally, I want to look at Drake's supposed allies. Who are they, and why are they not backing him up when he's literally fighting for his life? Are they also gonna turn their back on him?
Drake, everything okay? Yeah. Everyone's so nice here, you know?
Kanye claimed that his ex-wife Kim Kardashian had an affair with Drake while they were still together. He also alleged that Drake slept with Kim's mother, Kris Jenner. Kanye even admitted that he might be jealous of Drake's success and that his envy fuels hatred towards him. After years of tension, Kanye and Drake embarked on a temporary truce at the Free Larry Hoover benefit concert in 2021. Even with all that, it looks like they were right back to butting heads. Just weeks ago, Kanye posted Drake on Instagram, which only goes to show that there's still plenty of bad blood left over. Of course, when it comes to Drake idols, we have to mention the most lethal adversary, Pusha T.
I have no desire to ever mend anything with that person. I just realized that, like, nobody cares about this guy.
Drake used to be a hardcore Pusha T fan. As a teenager, he bought a microphone off eBay that was signed by Pusha himself. But since he's became famous, Pusha's been one of the most persistent thorns at his side. Some said that Pusha took offense to a line Drake said years ago, "My favorite rappers either lost it or ain't alive." Pusha famously exposed Drake for having a secret child in a landmark, vicious diss called Story of Adidon. Since that diss, Pusha's actually said that Drake is the reason he's been banned from Canada. When both Pusha and Drake were asked if they were open to squashing their beef, both of them stood their ground and refused.
So it's not really much I can say better than Drake has a baby. He won. You know, he won off that.
It's safe to say that while Drake might have idolized Pusha back in the day, that respect is hardly mutual. Pusha might be a sworn enemy for life.
You know, I look at him and I'm like, oh, like you parade your dad around in these weird suits. It's clown-like. That's what I get. I get clown feelings from that.
Then there's Jay-Z. Drake once shaded Jay-Z for rapping about his art collection, leading Jay to respond, "Sorry, Miss Drizzy for so much art talk." Drake later said, "I used to want to be on Rockefeller, then I turned into Jay," essentially claiming Jay's spot for himself. Jay responded, "In real life, they're like me. In real life, I'm like no." While there's plenty of mutual respect between the two, Jay and Drake's relationship will forever be haunted by pure competitive instinct. Drake will always look up to Jay's money moves, but at the same time has to regard him as a rival.
I don't think Drake is nice as Jay as a rapper. When you're responsible for one other legend, you in a different league. When you're responsible for like 2 or 3, come on, man.
But if you really want to find out about the people who put a dent in Drake's armor, you gotta look at the women who used to be in his life. Drake seems to take breakups extra personal. Just ask Serena Williams, who Drake had an on and off relationship with throughout the years. In fact, Drake's fling with Serena once triggered a heated response from her former husband, Common, who ripped him up on multiple songs, calling him sweet. Since then, it looks like all parties had moved on, until Drake called Serena's new husband a groupie on his song Middle of the Ocean. Serena didn't respond to Drake, but Ahanian said he was happy to be called a groupie for his wife and daughter, especially since he also created a multi-billion-dollar company. In another instance, Drake was called out by Mila Mitchell, a well-known from Houston. Drake caught a lot of attention when he decided to retire a bunch of jerseys during a Houston Appreciation Week, including Mila's. That gesture did not sit too well with her. Mila would go on to allege that Drake constantly tried to pressure her into quitting dancing, negging her, and being mean and hurtful. Mila asserted that no man can retire me, despite what social media says. But we can't talk about ex-Flames without mentioning the one that really got away. The woman he's declared he's been in love with since he was 22 years old.
That's Rihanna.
Yeah, great girl. We had our moment, and you know, I mean, always
support and have love for her, and yeah.
A little nervous. Okay. And,
Rihanna and Drake used to have a close bond together. After all, Drake and Chris Brown embarked on a bottle-throwing war over her. But things obviously soured in the aftermath of a cringe-worthy VMA speech Drake gave on her behalf, where she curved a very, very public kiss.
She's someone I've been in love with since I was 22 years old. All my adult life, I've looked up to her even though she's younger than me. Embarrassing!
Since then, Rihanna's pretty much ignored Drake, going on to have 2 kids with A$AP Rocky. Drake, meanwhile, sent subliminal shots at her just a few months ago on the song Daylight, where he claimed that the sex with her was average. The popular reaction to Drake's alleged Riri diss is that he sounded bitter that she moved on without him, and seeing how she didn't even bother to respond, it just goes to show Drake was fishing for a reaction that probably won't come his way. Better luck next time. Then again, they say the ones that are closest to you are most likely to be your biggest enemies, which makes sense when you realize that some of Drake's most persistent ops used to be his tightest collaborators. Like Drake, The Weeknd, aka Abel Tesfaye, was born and raised in Toronto. The Weeknd wrote multiple songs for Drake's legendary sophomore project Take Care, and it's common knowledge that Drake desperately wanted to sign him to his label, October's Very Own. And that is where everything went south. The Weeknd ended up refusing Drake's offer and forged his own path. Years later, The Weeknd is one of the most popular artists in the world, but the fact that he refused Drake's record deal still seems to be an issue.
This is forever the first artist that OVO ever had and still has, and OVO XO is alive forever, I promise.
Drake's low-key made claims that he discovered The Weeknd, and Abel hated the idea of being a side hustle for a rapper. They haven't made music together in over a decade, even though their careers are explicitly linked. Fans speculated that The Weeknd has taken shots at Drake in his music. For example, a lot of people think he brutally shaded Drake by mocking him for hiding his child on the song Lost in the Fire. Drake, however, just recently fired back on the song Family Matters, claiming that The Weeknd was drugged out and that his music only gets played in gay clubs. Then there's Meek Mill, who's had multiple collaborations with Drake in the tuck before he decided to attack him over allegations that Drake uses a ghostwriter. The rift lasted for years, climaxing when Drake dropped a brutal diss track called Back to Back. Meek and Drake eventually squashed their issues, teaming up to release Going Bad together in 2018. Meek would later blame his outburst against Drake on his opioid addiction, but while Meek and Drake might be cool now, the ghostwriting accusations continue to shadow Drake's legacy. One of Drake's earliest label mates, Tyga, blasted Drake as fake during an interview. Tyga and Drake both came to prominence over Lil Wayne's label, Young Money. Despite appearing together in music videos, Tyga would later declare that he didn't get along with Drake and claim that their Young Money connection forced a relationship between them. Drake would fire back on 6 p.m. in New York, calling Tyga childish and poking at his controversial rumored relationship with Kylie Jenner, who was still a at the time.
Tyga, on Twitter it sounds like you want to fight Drake, bro.
He wouldn't fight me.
Most recently, there's been rumors that Drake's 10-year relationship with Future has imploded. The two of them famously dropped the collab album What a Time to Be Alive back in 2015. But before that, Future got kicked off Drake's tour in 2013 for insisting that his album Honest was superior to Drake's Nothing Was the Same. Now in 2024, Future released an album with Metro Boomin, a super producer who's been openly feuding with Drake for a while now.
Metro, shut your ass up and make some drums, nigga.
Fans believe that Future was firing subliminal shots at Drake on We Don't Trust You, and there's been a rumor going around that Drake and Future are at war over a Miami that they've both been seeing. On top of all that are all the artists who have had intensely personal beefs with Drake. And most times it's not about business, it's not about respect, it's about straight up right and wrong. The late XXXTentacion famously went to war with Drake over accusations that Drake hijacked his flow on his breakout song Look at Me. Look at Me became a viral smash hit, and Drake near instantly replicated X's sound on KMT. In response, X called Drake a and posted on Twitter about wanting to get with Drake's mom. The disrespect was real, but when X was murdered during a robbery in 2018, the internet went crazy with rumors that Drake was the one behind it. The chatter was so persistent that Drake at one point was subpoenaed during the ensuing murder trial. While X and Drake never actually crossed paths, the animosity between the two of them was undeniable. Drake also caught fire from Megan Thee Stallion when he put out this divisive line. This lie about getting shots, but she's still a stallion. Fans and Megan instantly interpreted as slick talk about Meg being by Tory Lanez. Drake seemed to be implying that Megan was lying about the shooting, which led to her firing back about people using her name for clout.
What do you say to people that still don't believe that you were actually shot?
I don't think any of this is for them. Like, it's for me.
In her Scorched Earth chart-topping single Hiss, Megan went further by making references to unconfirmed rumors that Drake might have gotten plastic surgery. But maybe the most personal and complicated beef Drake has ever been involved in is none other than Kendrick Lamar.
The fact that hip-hop hasn't been shaking up in a long time. But I see how the world took it and flipped the media. I realized, okay, it has been 10, 15 years before, it's been some type of shaking up in the game. Yep.
Kendrick's beef with Drake is a complicated saga, but fans never really knew how bitter and dark the tension was between them until their recent back and forth of diss tracks. Drake accused Kendrick of domestic violence on his song Family Matters, while Kendrick claimed that Drake had another secret child on Meet the Grams and alleged that Drake keeps sex offenders in his circle. When the smoke cleared, it looked pretty certain that Kendrick decisively knocked the crown off Drake's head, handing the sixth god a pretty humiliating public loss. So here's the real question. Where does Drake go from here? And is there anyone left on his side? Well, there's Lil Yachty, who's confirmed to have written a bunch of Drake's recent songs. They've been spending a lot of close time together as of late, but amid the Kendrick-Drake war, he's been suspiciously quiet. Is he choosing sides or just laying low? Drake also lent a big assist to Jack Harlow when he appeared as a feature on Jack's song Churchill Downs. But even with a major career boost as well, Jack still remained silent. It's tough to see Jack rushing in to jump to Drake's aid when he's up against a titan like Kendrick. It's hard to say if he's built for that type of smoke.
I've looked up to him for years. I think I can really genuinely say we formed a real friendship.
As the Kendrick-Drake war was heating up, footage appeared of Travis Scott dancing with a bunch of people in Greece and apparently having a great time. Even though Drake's been a very reliable collaborator, Travis seems determined to sit this one out and hasn't said anything in support of Drake, even when he's at his lowest. But what about Lil Wayne? Wayne has been Drake's mentor and boss for years, but Kendrick exposed some pretty salacious facts about their relationship. Drake slept with Wayne's girl, and even though they've worked together since, the fact that Kendrick aired details about the relationship in public like that might hurt Drake even more. And honestly, it wouldn't be crazy to speculate that Wayne is now Team Kendrick given everything that's happened. Even 21 Savage, who's been on Drake's side for the last 2 years, has offered zero support to one of his most prolific collaborators. Kendrick even name-checked Savage and Not Like Us, saying 21 gave Drake fake street cred, but it wasn't enough to tag him into the beef. At this point, it really looks like Drake is being hung out to dry. And with the loss so public, it's safe to say that people's hate for him will be validated. Is Drake just gonna tap out, or is he gonna find a way to spin the block and come back at everybody who's counted him out? For that, we're just gonna have to wait and stay tuned.